Imagine stepping into a kitchen where each dish tells a story, one that stretches back hundreds, even thousands of years. Native American cuisine is not just about food, it's about culture, survival, and a deep, unbreakable connection to the land. The ingredients are simple, yet the flavors are rich, vibrant, and full of history. The meals reflect the earth's bounty, the seasons, and the people who have cultivated and cared for the land for generations. Throughout the Americas, indigenous peoples developed unique culinary traditions based on the resources available to them. In the Great Plains, bison was central to their diet, providing not only meat but also hides and bones for tools and shelter. In the Pacific Northwest, fish like salmon and trout were revered, while in the Southwest, the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, formed the foundation of agriculture. These foods weren't just staples, they were symbolic of balance and respect for nature, with each crop supporting the others in a sustainable system of farming. In this video, we'll explore 30 dishes. We'll celebrate the resourcefulness and ingenuity of Native American peoples, how they turned the resources around them into flavorful, nourishing meals. These recipes not only connect us to the past, but also provide inspiration for how we can cook and eat with respect for the land and the foods it offers. Let's start. 1. Three Sisters Stew.
So this time around, I am going to be talking about Three Sisters soup. And this is a very well-known soup. I think that many different tribes have them, and each of them will do it probably in a slightly different way.
There's a certain comfort in a bowl of stew, especially when that stew connects us to the land in such a profound way. The three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, form the heart of this dish, a beautiful and timeless representation of Native American agriculture. These three crops were grown together for centuries, and for good reason. They complement each other in every way, supporting not only the soil, but also the people who harvest them. The corn stands tall, the beans climb its stalks, and the squash spreads across the earth, shielding the ground from the sun. Together, they create a perfect harmony of flavors and nutrition. In many Native American cultures, especially in the Northeast and Great Plains, the three sisters were considered sacred, and the practice of planting them together was seen as a divine partnership. The Iroquois, for instance, tell stories of the three sisters as gifts from the earth, each representing a different aspect of life: corn for sustenance, beans for community, and squash for strength. This stew is more than just food. It's a celebration of balance, sustainability, and the earth's generosity. Making the Three Sisters stew is simple, but the flavors are anything but. Fresh corn, tender squash, and hearty beans come together in a savory broth, seasoned with just the right amount of garlic, onion, and herbs. As the stew simmers, the ingredients meld together, creating a dish that's as nourishing for the body as it is for the soul. It's a reminder that when we honor the land and its gifts, the result is something truly special. A warm bowl of Three Sisters stew is comfort, history, and tradition all in one. 2. Frybread tacos.
Today, my husband and son requested Navajo tacos.
There's a certain magic to fry bread, a crispy, golden creation that somehow feels both timeless and of the moment. It's a dish born from hardship and perseverance, and yet it has become a beloved comfort food in Native American kitchens. Fry bread tacos, or Indian tacos as they are sometimes called, take this humble bread and elevate it into something truly spectacular. Imagine biting into a warm, soft center encased in a crispy, crunchy shell, perfect for holding all your favorite taco fillings. Fry bread was born out of necessity. In the 19th century, during the forced relocation of Native Americans, the infamous Trail of Tears, many tribes were given government rations of flour, sugar, and lard, ingredients they hadn't traditionally used in their diets. So, in a moment of scarcity, fry bread was born as a way to make use of what was available. While the story behind fry bread is a tragic one, today, it's a symbol of resilience, creativity, and survival. It's a reminder of how Native communities found a way to make something beautiful out of the unthinkable. Now, fry bread tacos bring the best of two worlds together. The base of fry bread serves as a crunchy taco shell, and it's filled with whatever your heart desires: ground beef, seasoned chicken, or beans for a vegetarian option. Add some shredded lettuce, diced tomatoes, and cheese, then top it off with a dollop of sour cream or salsa. Each bite is a celebration of both tradition and transformation. Fry bread tacos are the perfect way to honor a rich history while savoring a dish that's as delicious as it is meaningful. So, next time you're craving something warm and satisfying, give this Native American classic a try. Your taste buds and history will thank you. 3. Bison chili. If there's one dish that embodies the spirit of the Great Plains, it's bison chili. Rich, hearty, and packed with bold flavors, this chili isn't just food. It's a connection to the land, to history, and to the traditions of the Plains tribes who relied on bison as a primary food source. The bison, or buffalo, has long been a symbol of strength, endurance, and community. For centuries, it provided not only meat, but also hides, bones, and sinew. Every part of the animal was used in some way. Bison chili, with its deep, savory broth and tender meat, meat, takes the lean, flavorful bison and transforms it into something truly satisfying. In many ways, it's a modern interpretation of a dish that could have been made by Plains tribes who cooked bison over an open fire. This hearty, spicy stew speaks to the resourcefulness and ingenuity that has always been a part of Native American cooking. While bison is still a central ingredient in this dish, it's combined with other staples like beans, tomatoes, and chilies to create a chili that's rich in flavor and history. The beauty of bison chili is in its simplicity. The lean, tender bison meat lends a depth of flavor that other meats can't quite match. As it simmers with onions, garlic, and chilies, the broth becomes an earthy, smoky delight. The beans add a touch of creaminess and balance out the heat. Top it off with a sprinkle of cheese and a dollop of sour cream, and you've got a meal that's perfect for a chilly afternoon or any time you need something that warms you from the inside out. Bison chili is more than just a meal. It's a celebration of the land's bounty and a reminder of the deep connection Native peoples have with the earth and its creatures. It's a dish that honors the past while satisfying the modern appetite, rich, flavorful, and filled with history. 4. Native corn soup. Corn, or maize, has been a sacred food to many Native American tribes for centuries, particularly those in the Southwest and Great Plains. It is one of the three sisters, along with beans and squash, that formed the foundation of Native agriculture, where the three crops supported each other's growth in a harmonious system. Corn is not just a food, but a symbol of life, sustenance, and spiritual significance in many Indigenous cultures. Native corn soup is a simple yet nourishing dish that allows the sweet, earthy flavor of corn to shine, while connecting us to the ancient food practices of Native American community. To make native corn soup, start by preparing fresh or frozen corn. If using fresh corn, slice the kernels off the cob, ensuring you capture all the natural sweetness. In a large pot, saute onions, garlic, and a bit of oil until they become soft and fragrant. Then, add the corn and cook for a few minutes to bring out its natural sweetness and depth. Pour in vegetable or chicken broth to cover the corn and bring everything to a gentle simmer. For extra heartiness, you can add diced potatoes, squash, or other seasonal vegetables. Season the soup with salt, pepper, and fresh herbs like thyme or sage to add layers of flavor. Let the soup simmer for about 20-30 minutes, allowing the flavors to meld and the vegetables to soften. Native corn soup is comforting and versatile. It can be enjoyed as a light meal on its own or paired with cornbread or roasted meats. The simplicity of this soup is its beauty, allowing the corn to take center stage. Every spoonful is a taste of history, honoring the traditions of Native American agriculture and the enduring importance of corn in Native diets. 5. Squash blossom fritters. If there's one dish that perfectly captures the essence of spring and summer, it's squash blossom fritters. Delicate, light, and bursting with the fresh floral flavors of squash blossoms, these fritters are as beautiful as they are delicious. Squash blossoms, often overlooked in the modern kitchen, were once a prized ingredient among many Native American tribes, particularly those who grew squash as a staple crop. These vibrant orange flowers, with their soft petals and subtle sweetness, offer a seasonal treat that celebrates both the harvest and the earth's generosity. Traditionally, squash blossoms were used in a variety of dishes, stuffed, roasted, or incorporated into soups. But the fritter method is one of the most delightful ways to prepare them. The light, crispy batter gives way to the tender, almost creamy texture of the blossoms inside, creating a contrast that's absolutely irresistible. As you bite into these fritters, the sweetness of the squash blossoms is balanced by the savory, crispy coating, offering a burst of flavor in every bite. The process of making squash blossom fritters is simple but full of care. The blossoms are carefully picked, ideally in the morning when they're freshest, and then dipped into a light batter before being fried until golden brown. The batter, usually made with flour, egg, and a touch of seasoning, crisps up perfectly, creating a texture that complements the delicate nature of the squash blossoms. These fritters are a true celebration of the seasons, a dish that reminds us of the bounty of summer and the creativity of Native American cooks, whether served as a side dish, appetizer, or even a main course. Squash blossom fritters are a perfect way to enjoy the fleeting beauty of squash blossoms. They're simple, elegant, and above all, a delightful nod to the rich culinary traditions of Native American foodways. So, next time you see squash blossoms in your garden or at a farmer's market, don't hesitate. Grab them and turn them into a dish that's both beautiful and delicious. 6. Wild rice salad. Wild rice, native to North America and particularly abundant in the Great Lakes region, holds significant cultural and nutritional value in Native American cuisine. Unlike cultivated rice, wild rice is an aquatic grass that has been harvested by indigenous peoples for thousands of years. It is known for its nutty flavor, chewy texture, and high protein content, making it a perfect base for a healthy and satisfying dish. Wild rice salad is a delicious way to showcase this ancient grain, combining it with fresh vegetables, herbs, and a simple dressing dressing to create a dish that's both light and filling. To make wild rice salad, begin by cooking wild rice according to package instructions. Typically, you'll need to simmer it in water or broth for about 45 minutes, allowing the rice to cook until tender but still slightly chewy. Once the rice is done, drain any excess water and set it aside to cool. While the rice is cooling, prepare your vegetables. Fresh, seasonal vegetables like carrots, bell peppers, cucumbers, and red onion work wonderfully in this salad. Chop them into small pieces and add them to a large mixing bowl along with the cooled wild rice. For an added layer of flavor, toss in some fresh herbs like parsley, cilantro, or mint. To dress the salad, combine olive oil, lemon juice, salt, and pepper in a small bowl. You can also add a touch of honey or mustard to create a slightly tangy, sweet dressing. Drizzle the dressing over the rice and vegetable mixture and toss to combine. For an extra crunch, sprinkle in some toasted nuts or seeds, such as sunflower seeds or almonds. Wild rice salad is versatile enough to be served as a side dish or a light main course. It's a beautiful way to highlight the unique flavor of wild rice while celebrating the seasonal bounty that Native American foodways honor. Each bite connects you to a tradition of sustainable agriculture and resourceful cooking. 7. Pemkin. Pemkin is one of the oldest and most enduring forms of Native American preservation, a high-energy food that was once essential to survival during long winters or journeys. Created by plains tribes, including the Lakota, Cree, and others, pemmican was a combination of dried meat, fat, and berries, designed to last for months without refrigeration. It was an ingenious way to turn lean, protein-packed game into a portable, nutrient-dense food that could be consumed during periods when fresh food was scarce. To make pemmican, start by selecting a lean cut of meat. Bison, venison, or elk were commonly used. Begin by drying the meat to remove as much moisture as possible, which helps prevent spoilage. This can be done by smoking or air drying the meat until it is completely dried and firm. Once the meat is dry, grind it into small pieces or a powder using a mortar and pestle or food processor. Next, render fat from the same animal, or use beef tallow if necessary. The fat is a crucial component of pemmican, as it helps bind the dried meat together and adds the necessary calories for energy. Mix the powdered meat with the rendered fat, ensuring it's well coated. Then, add dried berries like chokecherries, blueberries, or cranberries for a touch of natural sweetness and to balance the richness of the meat and fat. Form the mixture into small, compact balls or blocks. The fat will harden at room temperature, making the pemmican a solid, energy-dense food that can be easily stored for long periods. Pemmican is a versatile food, eaten as is or added to stews or soups for extra flavor and sustenance. This remarkable age-old recipe connects modern eaters to the resourcefulness and survival skills of Native American communities, offering a taste of the past that is as practical as it is nutritious. 8. Cedarplanked salmon. Cedarplanked salmon is a dish that perfectly encapsulates the deep connection between Native American communities and the land, particularly those from the Pacific Northwest. For centuries, salmon has been a vital food source for these tribes, providing not only nourishment but also holding cultural and spiritual significance. Cooking salmon on a cedar plank, a method that has been practiced for generations, imparts a delicate smokiness to the fish, enhancing its natural flavors while also connecting the dish to the region's abundant natural resources. To prepare cedar-planked salmon, start by soaking a cedar plank in water for at least an hour. This prevents the plank from catching fire while cooking and allows it to release its aromatic oils during the cooking process. While the plank soaks, season your fresh salmon fillets with olive oil, salt, pepper, and lemon juice. For an added layer of flavor, you can also sprinkle fresh herbs like dill or thyme over the fish. Once the plank is soaked and your salmon is seasoned, place the fillet on the cedar plank, skin side down if you're using skin-on fillets. Preheat your grill or oven to medium-high heat. If using a grill, place the cedar plank directly on the grill and close the lid. The salmon will cook slowly as the plank smokes, infusing the fish with a subtle smoky flavor. Roast or grill the salmon for about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the thickness of the fillet, or until the salmon flakes easily with a fork. The result is a moist, tender piece of salmon with a hint of woodsy cedar flavor. Cedar-planked salmon is a perfect dish for a summer gathering or a special dinner, and it pairs beautifully with roasted vegetables, wild rice, or a simple salad. This dish honors the centuries-old tradition of using what the land offers to create meals that nourish both the body and spirit. 9. Acorn soup. Acorns, once a vital staple in many Native American diets, are a testament to the resourcefulness and ingenuity of indigenous peoples. For tribes across North America, particularly in the Great Basin, California, and the Southwest, acorns were an essential source of food. These nuts, rich in nutrients, were ground into flour and used in a variety of dishes, including soups, breads, and porridges. Acorn soup is a traditional dish that highlights the earthy, nutty flavor of acorns, transforming them into a creamy, comforting meal. To make acorn soup, The first step is to prepare the acorns. Raw acorns contain tannins, which give them a bitter taste. To make them edible, they must be leached by soaking them in water and changing the water several times to remove the bitterness. Once the acorns are leached and dried, they can be ground into flour using a mortar and pestle or a food processor. Start by sautéing onions, garlic, and carrots in a bit of oil or butter to form the soup's base. Once the vegetables are softened and aromatic, add the acorn flour to the pot. Gradually pour in vegetable or chicken broth, stirring constantly to avoid clumping. The acorn flour will thicken the broth, creating a creamy, rich texture. Let the soup simmer for about 30 minutes, allowing the flavors to develop and the broth to thicken. To enhance the flavor, you can add herbs like thyme or sage, or a pinch of smoked paprika for depth. For extra heartiness, toss in some root vegetables like potatoes or parsnips. Adjust the seasoning with salt and pepper to taste. Acorn soup is a dish that connects you to Native American food traditions, showcasing how resourceful people turned humble, wild ingredients into a meal full of nourishment and flavor. Each spoonful honors a deep respect for the land and the sustenance it provides. 10. Venison stew. Venison stew is a dish that perfectly embodies the deep connection Native American peoples have had with the land and wildlife, particularly in regions like the Great Plains, Northeast, and Appalachian Mountains, where hunting was essential for survival. Venison, the meat of deer, was prized not only for its rich flavor, but also for its lean, nutritious qualities. Stewing venison with a variety of vegetables and herbs makes for a hearty, nourishing meal that ties together the flavors of the wild and the traditions of native cooking. To begin making venison stew, start by cutting venison into bite-sized cubes. Brown the venison in a large pot with a bit of oil, ensuring the meat gets a deep, rich color. Once browned, remove the meat and set it aside. In the same pot, sauté onions, garlic, carrots, and celery until softened and fragrant. These ingredients will create a savory base for the stew. Next, return the venison to the pot and add broth. Either beef or vegetable works well. Add some herbs such as thyme, bay leaves, and rosemary to infuse the stew with earthy flavors. For a richer stew, add root vegetables like potatoes, parsnips, or turnips. These vegetables add both heartiness and depth to the stew. Bring everything to a boil, then reduce the heat and simmer for 1.5 to 2 hours, or until the venison is tender and the flavors have melded together. Once the stew is done, taste it and adjust the seasoning with salt and pepper. Serve the venison stew hot, with a side of cornbread or crusty bread for dipping. Venison stew is a powerful reminder of how Native American communities utilized every part of the land and animals to create nutritious meals. It connects modern eaters to the traditions of the past, showcasing how food was more than just sustenance. It was a way of honoring the land, the animals, and the community. 11. Corn and bean salad. Corn and beans have been central to Native American diets for centuries, particularly through the practice of growing the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, together. These three crops are considered a gift from the earth, each playing an important role in nurturing the others. Corn provides a structure for beans to climb. Beans help to enrich the soil with nitrogen, and squash covers the ground, preventing weeds and helping the soil retain moisture. Corn and beans are a perfect combination, providing a balance of carbohydrates, protein, and essential nutrients. Corn and bean salad celebrates this relationship, offering a fresh, vibrant way to enjoy two of Native America's most important ingredients. To make corn and bean salad, begin by cooking your choice of beans. Pinto, black beans, or kidney beans work well. If using dried beans, soak them overnight and cook them until tender. Alternatively, canned beans can save time. Next, prepare your corn. Fresh corn on the cob can be boiled or grilled, then the kernels removed from the cob. If fresh corn isn't available, frozen or canned corn can be used. In a large bowl, combine the cooked beans and corn. Add finely diced red onions, bell peppers, and a handful of fresh cilantro for flavor. For a zesty twist, drizzle with olive oil, lime juice, and season with salt, pepper, and a pinch of chili powder. If you like a bit of sweetness, you can toss in some diced tomatoes, or even fresh fruit like avocado or mango. Corn and bean salad is both nutritious and versatile. It can be served as a side dish, paired with grilled meats, or enjoyed on its own as a light lunch. This dish is not only a delicious combination of Native American ingredients, but also a reflection of the sustainable farming practices that have sustained Indigenous communities for generations. It's a simple, fresh way to celebrate the land and its abundant offerings. 12. Native American shepherd's pie. Native American shepherd's pie takes inspiration from a traditional European dish, but incorporates ingredients that reflect Native American agricultural practices and hunting traditions. While the classic shepherd's pie uses lamb or beef, this version uses bison, venison, or even turkey, which were widely hunted by Indigenous peoples. The addition of squash, one of the three sisters, along with corn and beans, replaces the typical mashed potatoes, offering a naturally sweet and creamy contrast to the savory meat filling. cooking. To make Native American shepherd's pie, begin by browning ground bison or venison in a skillet over medium heat, seasoning with salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Once the meat is fully cooked, set it aside. In the same skillet, sauté onions, carrots, and celery until softened, then add the cooked meat back into the pan. Pour in vegetable or beef broth and let everything simmer until the flavors meld, about 10 minutes. For additional flavor, you can add a bit of thyme or rosemary, along with a splash of red wine if desired. While the meat is simmering, prepare the squash. Butternut or acorn squash works well for this dish. Peel, cube, and boil the squash until it is soft. Drain the water and mash the squash with a little butter, salt, and pepper, creating a smooth, creamy texture. To assemble the shepherd's pie, spread the cooked meat mixture evenly in the bottom of a baking dish. Top it with the mashed squash, smoothing it into an even layer. Bake at 375 degrees, 190 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes, or until the top is golden and slightly crispy. Native American shepherd's pie is a hearty and comforting dish that combines the rich flavors of game meats with the earthy sweetness of squash. It's a beautiful way to honor traditional ingredients and native cooking methods, while offering a fresh take on a classic. 13. Elk burgers. Elk has long been a prized meat among Native American communities, particularly in the Rocky Mountain and Plains regions. This lean, flavorful game meat is rich in protein and low in fat, making it a perfect choice for burgers. Elk burgers provide a hearty, satisfying meal that connects modern diners to the ancient traditions of hunting and sustainable food practices. Native Americans have long understood the value of the elk, using not only the meat for food, but also the hide for clothing and the bones for tools, ensuring that nothing went to waste. To make elk burgers, start by preparing the elk meat. Since elk is naturally leaner than beef, it's a good idea to mix it with some fat to keep the burgers moist and tender. You can add pork fat or even a little bit of olive oil to the ground elk. Season the meat simply with salt, pepper, and garlic powder, or add your favorite spices like cumin or chili powder for an extra kick. Gently mix the ingredients together, being careful not to overwork the meat, which can result in tough burgers. Once the mixture is prepared, shape it into patties. Heat a grill or skillet over medium-high heat and cook the burgers for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side, depending on how well done you like your meat. Because elk is leaner than beef, be careful not to overcook the burgers, as they can dry out quickly. Elk burgers are delicious served on a bun with classic toppings like lettuce, tomato, cheese, and pickles. But for a more native-inspired twist, try adding sautéed wild mushrooms, a dollop of cranberry sauce, or even some roasted green chilies. These additions will bring out the richness of the elk and add complexity to the flavors. Elk burgers are a perfect dish for those who want to enjoy a flavorful, healthy alternative to traditional beef burgers, while connecting with the deep traditions of Native American hunting and cooking. Each bite is a taste of the land, history, and culture that has sustained Indigenous communities for generations. 14. Sweet potato with maple syrup. Sweet potatoes have long been a vital part of Native American diets, particularly in the southeastern United States. Packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber, they are not only delicious, but also a nutritional powerhouse. Native Americans have enjoyed sweet potatoes in many forms, from roasted to boiled, often paired with other seasonal ingredients. This simple dish, sweet potato with maple syrup, highlights the natural sweetness of the vegetable while introducing the rich, caramelized flavor of maple syrup, a product also deeply tied to Native American food traditions in the Northeast and parts of Canada, where maple trees are tapped for sap. To make sweet potato with maple syrup, begin by peeling and cutting the sweet potatoes into cubes or rounds. Arrange them on a baking sheet and toss them with a bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. Roast the sweet potatoes in a preheated oven at 400 degrees 200 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes or until they are golden and fork tender. Roasting the sweet potatoes brings out their natural sweetness and allows them to caramelize around the edges, making them more flavorful. Once the sweet potatoes are roasted, remove them from the oven and drizzle them generously with pure maple syrup. The syrup adds a beautiful depth of sweetness, creating a perfect contrast to the savory notes of the roasted sweet potatoes. For an extra touch, sprinkle with cinnamon or nutmeg, which enhance the warmth of the dish. Sweet potato with maple syrup is a versatile side dish that pairs beautifully with roasted meats, particularly game meats like venison or turkey. It's also an excellent addition to a Thanksgiving meal or any celebration that honors the season. This dish combines the best of Native American ingredients and flavors, earthy, sweet, and rich in history, making it a perfect way to celebrate both the harvest and Indigenous culinary traditions. 15. Squash and potato casserole. Squash and potatoes are two of the most important and versatile vegetables in Native American cuisine. Squash, one of the three sisters, along with corn and beans, has been cultivated by Native peoples for thousands of years. It's rich in flavor, easy to store, and can be prepared in countless ways. Potatoes, though introduced later, have become a staple in many Indigenous diets, particularly after European contact. Squash and potato casserole is a comforting dish that combines the earthy sweetness of squash with the hearty, creamy texture of potatoes, making it a perfect side dish or main course for any meal. To prepare squash and potato casserole, begin by peeling and chopping your squash and potatoes into cubes. Butternut, acorn, or kabocha squash work beautifully for this dish. Boil the potatoes and squash together in a large pot until they are tender, about 15 to 20 minutes. Drain the vegetables and set them aside. In a skillet, sauté onions and garlic in a little oil until soft and fragrant. Add the cooked squash and potatoes to the skillet, mashing them together with a potato masher or fork. For a richer flavor, stir in a bit of butter or olive oil and season with salt, pepper, and a pinch of nutmeg or cinnamon to bring out the natural sweetness of the squash. Transfer the mashed mixture into a greased baking dish and smooth it out evenly. For a crispy topping, sprinkle breadcrumbs or grated cheese on top of the casserole. Bake at 375 degrees, 190 degrees for about 20-25 minutes, or until the top is golden and slightly crispy. Squash and potato. Casserole is a delicious, hearty dish that showcases the simple yet flavorful ingredients Native Americans have used for centuries. It's perfect for a family gathering or as a comforting addition to any meal. It honors both tradition and innovation, celebrating the abundance of the land and the resourcefulness of native cooks. 16. Blue corn mush.
I am making blue corn mush with my mom.
Blue corn, a unique variety of maize, has been a staple in Native American diets for centuries, particularly among indigenous peoples of the Southwest. The deep blue kernels of this corn are packed with nutrients and offer a slightly nuttier and heartier flavor compared to yellow or white corn. Blue corn mush is a simple, comforting dish that highlights the versatility of blue cornmeal, transforming it into a creamy, satisfying meal. This dish, often enjoyed as a breakfast or side dish, connects modern eaters with the agricultural practices and culinary traditions of Native American communities. To make blue corn mush, begin by combining blue cornmeal with water or milk in a saucepan. The typical ratio is 1 part cornmeal to 4 parts liquid, but you can adjust it based on your desired consistency. Stir the mixture continuously over medium heat, making sure it doesn't form clumps. As it heats, the cornmeal will absorb the liquid and thicken, transforming into a smooth, creamy mush. Once the mush has thickened, let it simmer for about 10 minutes, stirring occasionally to prevent burning. You can sweeten the mush with maple syrup or honey, or keep it savory with a pinch of salt and some butter. Some versions of blue corn mush incorporate additional spices like cinnamon or vanilla, adding a warmth and richness to the dish. Blue corn mush can be served as a standalone dish, topped with fresh fruit, nuts, or seeds for added texture. It's a nutritious, simple meal that celebrates the unique flavor of blue corn and the deep culinary traditions of Native American people. Whether served sweet or savory, it's a dish that brings the past into the present, offering a taste of history in every bite. 17. Jackrabbit stew.
So this is going to be the first dedicated catch and cook video for this jackrabbit, and to be honest, it's the first time I ever eat a jackrabbit. So
Jackrabbit stew is a hearty, flavorful dish that connects to the rugged landscapes and traditions of Native American peoples, particularly those in the Southwest and Great Plains. The jackrabbit, known for its speed and resourcefulness, was an important source of protein for many indigenous tribes. With its lean meat and slightly gamey flavor, jackrabbit is perfect for stews, where it can absorb the savory broth and blend beautifully with vegetables and spices. Jackrabbit stew is not only a reflection of Native American hunting practices, but also a celebration of the relationship between people and the land. To make jackrabbit stew, start by preparing the jackrabbit meat. If fresh jackrabbit isn't available, you can substitute it with rabbit or lean venison. Brown the meat in a large pot with a bit of oil to develop a rich flavor. Once the meat is browned, remove it and set it aside. In the same pot, sauté onions, garlic, carrots, and celery until they soften, releasing their fragrant aromas. Add the browned meat back to the pot, along with vegetable or beef broth. Bring the mixture to a boil and then reduce the heat to simmer. Add root vegetables like potatoes, parsnips, or turnips for extra heartiness. Season the stew with herbs like thyme, rosemary, and bay leaves, along with salt and pepper. Let the stew simmer for 1.5 to 2 hours until the meat is tender and the flavors have melded together. Jackrabbit stew is best served hot, with a side of cornbread or crusty bread to soak up the savory broth. This dish not only showcases the wild flavors of the land, but also highlights the Native American tradition of utilizing the entire animal in a sustainable and nourishing way. It's a true comfort food, rich in history and flavor. 18. Fish tacos with cabbage slaw.
And today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making easy, delicious fish tacos. So let's get started.
Fish tacos with cabbage slaw offer a fresh, flavorful way to honor Native American coastal food traditions. For tribes living along the Pacific Coast, Great Lakes, and major river systems, fish such as salmon, trout, and whitefish were essential sources of protein. These fish were often smoked, grilled, or roasted over open flames, and sometimes wrapped in leaves or bark. Bringing that same spirit into a modern meal, fish tacos tacos combine simple, wholesome ingredients with the bright crunch of cabbage slaw for a dish that's satisfying, light, and deeply rooted in indigenous foodways. To make fish tacos with cabbage slaw, start with a firm white fish. Trout, cod, or even smoked salmon works beautifully. Season the fish with a little salt, pepper, and lime juice, then grill or pan-sear it until cooked through and lightly browned on the edges. While the fish cooks, prepare the cabbage slaw. Thinly slice green and red cabbage and toss it with shredded carrots, a splash of vinegar or lime juice, and a drizzle of olive oil. Add chopped cilantro, a pinch of salt, and a sprinkle of chili powder for a touch of spice and brightness. Warm, soft corn tortillas on a skillet, then assemble the tacos. Layer the cooked fish, top with a generous spoonful of slaw, and finish with an extra squeeze of lime. You can also add sliced avocado or a drizzle of plain yogurt or crema for extra creaminess. Fish tacos with cabbage slaw are quick to prepare, full of texture and flavor, and reflect Native American respect for seasonal, local ingredients. Light and nourishing, they are a delicious way to enjoy the bounty of the water with a fresh, modern twist. 19. Native bean and rice burritos. Native bean and rice burritos are a wholesome, filling meal that brings together two of the most essential ingredients in Native American cuisine: beans and corn. While burritos are most commonly associated with Mexican cuisine, the foundational elements of beans, corn, and squash have long been a part of indigenous diets across the Americas, particularly in the Southwest. Beans provide essential protein and fiber, while corn, in the form of tortillas, offers sustaining energy. When combined, they create a balanced, plant-based dish that is both satisfying and deeply rooted in Native tradition. To make native bean and rice burritos, begin by cooking your choice of beans. Pinto, black, or kidney beans all work well. You can use dried beans, soaked overnight, or canned beans for convenience. Cook them with onions, garlic, a pinch of chili powder, and a splash of broth or water until tender and flavorful. While the beans simmer, prepare brown rice or wild rice, another staple in Native food traditions. Once both are cooked, warm soft corn or flour tortillas. Spoon a layer of rice onto each tortilla, followed by a scoop of seasoned beans. Add toppings like roasted corn, chopped tomatoes, avocado, and fresh cilantro. For added zest, drizzle with lime juice or a mild chili sauce. Wrap the tortillas into burritos, folding in the sides and rolling them tightly. You can eat them as is or toast them lightly on a skillet for a crispy exterior. These burritos are perfect for a hearty lunch or quick dinner. They're adaptable, flavorful, and a wonderful way to honor the simplicity and power of native ingredients. Each bite offers a connection to centuries-old food wisdom, one that values nourishment, sustainability, and a deep respect for the land. 20. Chia seed pudding.
In today's Healthy Basics video, I'm going to show you how to make chia seed pudding, which is one of my personal favorite go-to breakfasts.
Long before chia seeds became a trendy superfood, they were a vital part of Native American and Mesoamerican diets. Indigenous peoples, especially in the Southwest and Mexico, valued chia for its incredible energy-boosting properties. These tiny seeds were often mixed with water or ground into flour, used in beverages, porridges, and thickened stews. Today, chia seed pudding is a delicious way to enjoy this ancient ingredient in a dish that's nutritious, simple, and rooted in tradition. To make chia seed pudding, combine 3 tablespoons of chia seeds with 1 cup of your preferred milk. Almond, coconut, or dairy all work well. Stir in a natural sweetener like honey or maple syrup, and a dash of vanilla extract for flavor. Mix well, let it sit for 5 minutes, then stir again to prevent clumping. Cover the mixture and refrigerate for at least 2 hours, or overnight. During this time, the chia seeds will absorb the liquid and form a gel-like texture, creating a thick, spoonable pudding. The result is creamy, filling, and packed with omega-3s, fiber, and plant-based protein. Once set, you can top your chia pudding with a variety of seasonal fruits like berries, peaches, or sliced bananas. For added crunch, sprinkle on some toasted seeds or nuts, like sunflower seeds or walnuts. A touch of cinnamon or nutmeg can add warmth and depth. Chia seed pudding is great as a light breakfast, midday snack, or healthy dessert. Its versatility and simplicity make it ideal for modern kitchens, while its roots stretch back into native food traditions that emphasize nourishment and balance. Each spoonful is a link to the past, a small, mighty seed carrying centuries of wisdom and sustenance. 21. Roasted corn with chile and lime. Roasted corn is more than just a summertime favorite. It's a deeply rooted tradition in Native American agriculture and cuisine. Corn, or maize, has been a sacred crop for countless generations, forming the backbone of indigenous food systems. Across the Americas, corn was roasted, ground, boiled, or dried, and enjoyed in a variety of forms. This dish, roasted corn with chile and lime, honors that legacy with a modern burst of flavor, combining the natural sweetness of corn with the heat of chile and the brightness of lime. To prepare, prepare, start with fresh ears of corn, preferably still in their husks. Roast the corn over an open flame on a grill or in the oven at 400°-200° for about 25-30 minutes, turning occasionally. The husks help steam the kernels while the outer leaves char, giving the corn a smoky flavor. Once done, peel back the husks and remove the silk. While the corn is still hot, brush it lightly with olive oil or melted butter. Then sprinkle a mixture of chili powder, smoked paprika, and a touch of sea salt over the kernel. Squeeze fresh lime juice generously over the top, and if you like, add a dash of crumbly cheese like cotija or a dairy-free alternative. For even more flavor, garnish with chopped cilantro. This dish is bold, satisfying, and easy to prepare, perfect as a side or snack. It blends heat, citrus, and sweetness in each bite while paying homage to traditional roasting methods used by indigenous peoples for generations. Roasted corn with chili and lime is more than a tasty treat. It's a celebration of the land and the traditions that continue to nourish us. Simple, flavorful, and steeped in heritage, it's a dish that connects the present to a long and living history. 22. Native American tamales.
'Tis the Christmas season, and in Southern California, that means tamales. Mesoamerica's first grab-and-go treat.
Tamales are a beloved dish across many Native American cultures, particularly in the Southwest, where corn has been a staple for centuries. While tamales are most commonly associated with Mexican cuisine today, their roots can be traced back to indigenous peoples of the Americas, including the Aztecs and Maya. The process of wrapping a flavorful filling in masa, corn dough, and steaming it in a corn husk was a method used by many Native American tribes long before it became widely popular in Mexican cooking. Native American tamales highlight the versatility of corn, combining it with meats, vegetables, and spices to create a satisfying, flavorful meal. To prepare Native American tamales, start by making the masa, the base of the tamale. Begin by combining masa harina, corn flour, with warm water or broth, salt, and a bit of vegetable oil or melted butter. Mix until the dough reaches a smooth, pliable consistency. Some variations of tamales may include a bit of baking powder or a touch of chili powder for flavor. Next, prepare your filling. Traditional fillings can include ground meat like pork or venison, or even vegetables for a vegetarian version. Cook the meat with onions, garlic, and spices such as cumin, chili powder, and oregano until it's fully cooked and flavorful. If you're using vegetables, sauté them with the same seasonings for a savory base. Soak dried corn husks in warm water for about 30 minutes to soften them. Once softened, spread a small amount of masa onto the center of each husk, leaving space at the top and bottom. Add a spoonful of the filling on top of the masa, then fold the sides of the husk over to seal the tamale. Repeat until all tamales are assembled. To cook, steam the tamales in a large pot for about 1.5 hours, or until the masa has fully cooked and the tamales have a firm texture. Serve them hot, with optional sides like salsa, sour cream, or even a sprinkle of cheese. Native American tamales are a beautiful celebration of corn and culture. Whether filled with savory meats, sweet corn, or hearty vegetables, they showcase the rich culinary traditions of indigenous peoples and offer a comforting, flavorful dish perfect for gatherings or special occasions. 23. Roasted bison with juniper berries. Roasted bison with juniper berries is a dish that connects deeply to Native American traditions, celebrating two powerful ingredients, bison and juniper berries. The bison, once central to the diet of many Plains tribes, is known for its rich, lean meat, which was used not only for food, but also for tools, clothing, and shelter materials. Juniper berries, on the other hand, have long been used by Native peoples for both culinary and medicinal purposes. Their earthy, slightly piney flavor pairs beautifully with the richness of bison, creating a dish that feels both ancient and timeless. To make roasted bison with juniper berries, begin by selecting a bison roast or steaks. The lean, tender cuts of bison, such as a rib roast or tenderloin, work best for roasting. Start by seasoning the bison generously with salt, pepper, and a mixture of crushed juniper berries, which can be found at specialty markets or online. Juniper berries can also be freshly ground with a mortar and pestle, releasing their aromatic oils and creating a fragrant rub. You can add a bit of garlic powder, thyme, and olive oil to the rub for extra flavor. Preheat your oven to 350 to 175 degrees. If you're using a roast, place it on a rack in a roasting pan. Roast the bison for about 20 minutes per pound, or until the internal temperature reaches about 130 degrees to 54 degrees for medium rare. If you're using steaks, sear them in a hot skillet over high heat for 2 to 3 minutes on each side, then finish them in the oven for a few more minutes, depending on your desired doneness. Once roasted, let the bison rest for about 10 minutes to allow the juices to redistribute. tribute. Slice the bison against the grain and serve with a side of roasted root vegetables like sweet potatoes, carrots, or parsnips to complement the deep, earthy flavors. Roasted bison with juniper berries is a dish that reflects the deep connection between Native American food traditions and the land. It's a beautiful representation of the bounty that nature provides, and a reminder of the reverence indigenous cultures have always shown for the animals and plants that nourish them. 24. Corn and bean soup.
One pot spicy black bean and corn soup.
Corn and beans have been the foundation of Native American diets for centuries, particularly among tribes in the Northeast and Great Plains. Known as the Three Sisters, corn, beans, and squash have been traditionally grown together in a system that supports each plant. Corn provides a structure for beans to climb, beans enrich the soil with nitrogen, and squash spreads across the ground to protect the other plants. The combination of corn and beans in this hearty soup reflects the harmony between these crops, as well as the ingenuity and resourcefulness of Native American foodways. To make corn and bean soup, begin by cooking dried beans. Pinto, kidney, or black beans work well for this dish. Soak the beans overnight, then drain and rinse them. In a large pot, add the beans along with enough water to cover them. Bring the water to a boil, then reduce the heat and simmer the beans for about 1 to 1.5 hours, or until they are tender. You can also use canned beans if you're short on time, though soaking and cooking dried beans enhances the flavor. While the beans are cooking, prepare the corn. If using fresh corn on the cob, simply cut the kernels off the cob. You can also use frozen or canned corn for convenience. Add the corn to the pot with the beans in the final 15 to 20 minutes of cooking. In a separate pan, sauté onions, garlic, and celery in a little oil until they soften and become aromatic. Add these to the pot along with a few bay leaves, thyme, salt, and pepper. Let the soup simmer for another 30 minutes to allow the flavors to meld together. For a richer flavor, you can add a splash of vegetable broth or smoked meat like bacon or ham hocks. Once the soup is done, taste and adjust seasoning as needed. Serve hot and enjoy the hearty, earthy flavors of the beans and corn. This simple, satisfying dish is perfect for a chilly evening and honors the Native American tradition of making the most out of the land's abundant crops. Corn and bean soup is not just a meal, it's a tribute to the sustainable farming practices and deep cultural ties to the earth that Native American communities have cherished for generations. 25. Sage and wild herb roasted chicken.
Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making a perfectly delicious roasted chicken. So let's get started.
Sage and wild herbs have long been integral to Native American cooking, particularly in the Midwest and Southwestern regions, where indigenous peoples have a deep connection to the land and its offerings. Herbs like sage, thyme, and oregano were not only used for culinary purposes, but also for medicinal and spiritual purposes. Sage, with its earthy, aromatic qualities, was often used in ritual, and its presence in cooking highlights the respect for the earth and its plants. This sage and wild herb roasted chicken is a flavorful, simple dish that brings together the rich flavors of chicken with the fragrant herbs that have been used by Native American communities for generations. To prepare this dish, start with a whole chicken. Clean and pat it dry, then season generously with salt, pepper, and a mixture of wild herbs. Fresh sage leaves, thyme, rosemary, and oregano work beautifully together, but you can also use wild herbs like wild mint or even juniper berries for added depth of flavor. Rub the chicken inside and out with olive oil or melted butter, then stuff the cavity with a handful of sage and other wild herbs. You can also add a few garlic cloves or a lemon for extra aromatic flavor. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees, 190 degrees. Place the chicken on a roasting rack in a pan, allowing air to circulate around it for even cooking. Roast for about 1.5 hours, or until the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees, 75 degrees. Baste the chicken with its own juices halfway through cooking to keep it moist and flavorful. Once the chicken is golden and crisp, remove it from the oven and let it rest for 10 minutes before carving. The result is tender, juicy meat with a wonderfully fragrant herb crust. Serve it alongside roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes, or a wild rice pilaf to complete the meal. Sage and wild herb. Roasted chicken is more than just a meal. It's a celebration of Native American culinary traditions that honor the plants, animals, and earth that provide for them. It's a dish that brings together simple, natural flavors in a way that's both nourishing and deeply connected to the land. 26. Smoked fish with juniper berries. Smoked fish has been a traditional method of preserving food for Native American tribes, especially those along the Pacific Northwest and Great Lakes regions, where fish like salmon, trout, and sturgeon were abundant. Smoking fish not only extends its shelf life, but also enhances its natural flavors, creating a savory, rich taste that has been cherished for centuries. Juniper berries, often used by indigenous peoples for their aromatic qualities, bring a unique, slightly piney fragrance to this dish, pairing beautifully with the smoky fish. To prepare smoked fish with juniper berries, start by selecting a firm fish such as salmon or trout. Rinse the fish and pat it dry before seasoning it with salt, pepper, and crushed juniper berries. Juniper berries can be lightly crushed with a mortar and pestle, releasing their fragrant oils. Rub the seasoning into the fish, ensuring it's evenly coated, and let it sit for about 30 minutes to absorb the flavor. Next, prepare your smoker or grill for indirect heat. If you don't have a smoker, you can create one by placing wood chips, such as alder, hickory, or applewood, in a foil packet with holes and setting it on the grill. Place the fish on a rack or grill and smoke it for 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on the size of the fish and your preferred level of smokiness. Once the fish is done, the flesh should be flaky and infused with a deep, smoky flavor, complemented by the woodsy notes from the juniper berries. Serve the smoked fish with wild rice, roasted root vegetables, or alongside a simple salad. Smoked fish with juniper berries is a dish that connects us to ancient food preservation methods and the relationship Native American communities have always had with the land and its bountiful resources. It's a taste of history, full of rich, natural flavors. 27. Roasted squash with sunflower seeds. Roasted squash with sunflower seeds is a simple, wholesome dish that celebrates two ingredients deeply rooted in Native American agriculture and culinary practices. Squash, one of the three sisters, has been cultivated for centuries by Native peoples across North America. It's a versatile vegetable, often used in stews, pies, and side dishes. Sunflower seeds, meanwhile, were traditionally used by Native tribes for both food and medicine. The sunflower was cultivated not only for its edible seeds, but also for its oil, which was used in cooking and for ceremonial purposes. To make roasted squash with sunflower seeds, start by selecting a variety of squash such as butternut, acorn, or delicata. Peel and cube the squash, then toss it with olive oil, salt, and pepper. You can also add a touch of cinnamon or nutmeg for warmth, which complements the sweetness of the squash. Spread the squash cubes in a single layer on a baking sheet and roast in the oven at 400 to 200 degrees for 25-30 minutes, or until the squash is tender and slightly caramelized. While the squash is roasting, toast sunflower seeds in a dry skillet over medium heat for about 5 minutes, stirring occasionally until they're golden brown and fragrant. This step enhances the nutty flavor of the seeds, bringing out their natural oils. Once the squash is done, transfer it to a serving platter and sprinkle the toasted sunflower seeds on top. For added freshness, garnish with a handful of chopped parsley or cilantro. Roasted squash with sunflower seeds is a perfect side dish, offering a delightful balance of sweet, savory, and nutty flavors. It can be served alongside roasted meats or as a light vegetarian meal. This dish embodies the sustainable farming practices of Native American communities, honoring the bounty of the earth and the tradition of using simple, nourishing ingredients to create something truly satisfying. 28. Cornbread with maple butter. Cornbread is a staple of Native American cuisine, particularly in the southern and southwestern regions, where corn has been cultivated for millennia. This warm, comforting bread is made from cornmeal, which has long been a key ingredient in Native diets. Cornbread has deep cultural significance, symbolizing both sustenance and community, and it can be served with a variety of meals, from stews to roasts. In this version, we elevate the classic cornbread with a touch of maple butter, combining the savory flavors of the bread with the sweet richness of maple syrup, an ingredient Native peoples have used for centuries. To make cornbread with maple butter, begin by preparing the cornbread batter. In a bowl, combine 1 cup of cornmeal, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. In a separate bowl, whisk together 1 cup of milk, 2 eggs, and 1/4 cup of melted butter. Combine the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients and stir until just combined. Pour the batter into a greased 9x9-inch baking pan or cast iron skillet. Bake at 375 degrees and 190 degrees for 25-30 minutes, or until golden brown on top and a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. While the cornbread is baking, prepare the maple butter by mixing 1/2 cup of softened butter with 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup. Stir until smooth and well combined. You can adjust the sweetness by adding more maple syrup to taste. Once the cornbread is finished baking, let it cool slightly before serving. Slice it into squares and spread with the rich maple butter. The result is a perfect balance of savory, sweet, and buttery flavors that elevate the simple, rustic charm of cornbread. Cornbread with maple butter is a delicious, satisfying dish that honors Native American traditions while offering a modern, flavorful twist. It's the perfect addition to any meal or enjoyed on its own with a warm cup of tea. 29. Cedar smoked venison. Cedar smoked venison is a dish that speaks to the heart of Native American culinary tradition, particularly in the regions where venison has long been a staple food. The practice of smoking meats, especially venison, is an ancient preservation method that also imparts a deep, smoky flavor, transforming the meat into something truly special. Cedar, a sacred and versatile tree for many indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest and beyond, brings an earthy, aromatic flavor to the venison, elevating its rich, gamey taste. To prepare cedar smoked venison, start by selecting a cut of venison, such as a roast, tenderloin, or even steaks. Season the meat with a blend of salt, pepper, garlic powder, and a bit of crushed juniper berries to complement complement the cedar's smokiness. Let the venison marinate for a few hours to absorb the flavors. Next, prepare the smoker. If you're using a traditional smoker, add cedar wood chips to the smoker box, or create a cedar plank for the venison. You can also use a grill, placing the cedar chips in a foil packet to produce smoke. Preheat the smoker or grill to about 225 degrees, 107 degrees for low, slow smoking. Place the venison on the smoker or grill, positioning it so it is indirectly exposed to the heat and smoke. Smoke the meat for about 2 to 3 hours, depending on the thickness of the cut, or until it reaches your desired doneness. The smoky cedar aroma will infuse the meat, giving it a unique earthy flavor that pairs beautifully with venison's natural richness. Once done, let the venison rest for a few minutes before slicing. Serve it with roasted vegetables, wild rice, or a simple green salad to balance the bold flavors. Cedar smoked venison is a beautiful way to honor the tradition of Native American food preservation, connecting us to a time when the land provided everything needed for sustenance and survival. 30. Wild berry and corn pudding. Wild berry and corn pudding is a sweet, earthy dessert that showcases two of Native American cuisine's most important ingredients, corn and berries. Corn, or maize, has been a staple in indigenous diets for thousands of years, deeply woven into the agricultural practices of Native communities. Wild berries, gathered from the forests, fields, and riversides, have long provided natural sweetness and nutrition, from strawberries and blueberries to raspberries and blackberries. This dish combines these two ingredients into a delicious, wholesome pudding, offering a taste of the land's seasonal bounty. To make wild berry and corn pudding, start by preparing the cornmeal. Mix 1 cup of cornmeal with 2 cups of milk, or coconut milk for a dairy-free version, in a saucepan. Stir over medium heat until the mixture thickens into a creamy, custard-like consistency. You can sweeten the pudding with honey, maple syrup, or agave, depending on your preference, and add a pinch of salt and cinnamon to enhance the flavors. While the cornmeal mixture is thickening, gently cook the wild berries in a separate pan with a little water and sweetener, allowing them to break down slightly and release their juices. Once the berries are softened and syrupy, fold them into the cornmeal pudding mixture, stirring to combine. Pour the mixture into a greased baking dish and bake in a preheated oven at 350 degrees, 175 degrees, for about 30 to 40 minutes, or until the pudding is set and the top is golden. You can also top the pudding with more fresh berries or a sprinkle of cinnamon before serving. Wild berry and corn pudding is a comforting and flavorful dish that highlights the natural sweetness of seasonal fruits and the richness of corn. It's a beautiful way to honor the Native American traditions of utilizing the gifts of the land in simple yet satisfying ways. This dessert is perfect for any gathering, bringing together history, culture, and delicious flavors in every bite. Native American cuisine is a vibrant tapestry woven with centuries of tradition, culture, and deep respect for the earth and its bounty. From the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, to the rich, gamey flavors of venison and bison, every dish tells a story of resilience, resourcefulness, and harmony with the land. These 30 dishes, whether simple or intricate, offer a window into the past while celebrating the enduring practices of indigenous foodways. What stands out in Native American cooking is the profound connection between food and environment. The use of locally sourced ingredients, from wild rice and cedar to acorns and juniper berries, reflects a sustainable and thoughtful approach to the natural world. Many of these dishes are not just about nourishment, they are about honoring the animals, plants, and seasons that provide sustenance. Cooking methods, like smoking and roasting, were born out of necessity, and today they continue to imbue these meals with unique, complex flavors that are deeply rooted in history. These recipes also showcase the ingenuity and adaptability of Native communities. By making the most of what the land offered, they created meals that were both nourishing and spiritually meaningful. Many of these dishes have transcended generations, evolving but retaining the essence of Native American culture. As you explore these 30 dishes, remember that each bite is more than just food. It's a connection to a rich heritage that has endured for centuries. Through these recipes, we not only taste the past, but also honor the wisdom, traditions, and deep respect for nature that continue to shape Native American cuisine today.